I've been thinking recently about how there has been a big divide into whether Rare should add a larger ship to Sea of Thieves, and decided now would be the right time to discuss if it should be added, what form it should take, and if it's actually a good idea. Full disclosure, I love the idea of a new larger ship, but let's just say there's a decent number of hurdles of adding a man of war. Without further ado, should the man of war really be added to Sea of Thieves? I'm going to start by talking about the form the man of war should take. This is to help visualise the challenges in implementing it and any balance issues that arise. Keep in mind, this, in my opinion, would be the most balanced you could make the ship without it being too overbearing or too weak. So starting with the crew size, I think the ship should have 6 crew members maximum. 8 was the original idea, but that would be ridiculous. It would be so difficult to coordinate with your teammates and would require many points of contact with the ship to not make it so easy to crew. Moving on to the structure of the ship would have 4 sails, making it faster than the galleon with a tailwind, but also slower in a headwind. This is to ensure the food chain is consistent. Each sail would have 2 points of contact for angling and raising the sails. Like the galleon, you would have more points of contact than players, so the ship could never be 100% efficient, but it would also mean that 4 players can be dedicated to raising the sails, and 2 to steering, shooting, bailing, etc. Speaking of shooting, 6 cannons per side would be the most appropriate, but with a twist. Instead of stacking them in a row, 3 cannons would be on the top deck and 3 would be pointing out of portholes with limited visibility. This would reduce the effectiveness of a broadside from 6 cannons. The shutters on the lower decks would have to be closed to prevent water coming in while sinking, similar to patching a hole. I would also propose 2 anchors, a front and back anchor that would both have to be dropped to ensure a stop, each with 3 handles. Raising an anchor would require everyone to coordinate on which anchor each crewmate needed to raise. The decks would be 4, with the poop deck raised with the wheel and mast, a main deck with cannons, 3 masts and the anchors, a gun deck with cannons, map, armoury and customization chests, the third deck with supply barrels, stoves, bunks and hammocks, and lastly the bilge with the brig and some aesthetic barrels. The ship would contain 2 harpoons at the front and 4 ladders. Yes, you did hear that right. The ship would need 4 ladders to prevent easy ladder watching in chases. Now that's all squared away, we'll look at how balanced the ship will be. As for strengths, you simply have more manpower to defeat the other ships, just through sheer numbers against a solo or duo sloop would be game over. I always find the larger ships accommodate players with less experience because you have less room for error. If you get knocked off a sloop, game over. If you get knocked off your man of war, there's 5 other crew members that are still in the fight. If you kill a crew member, a revive is pretty much guaranteed as there are 5 bodies to spare. Even if you killed 4, there's still 2 crew members that can revive. The ship would also have an unbeatable broadside that would put the galleon to shame. If you got caught in this, it's game over again, as the crew doesn't even have to be accurate as they can fire 6 shots at once. For sloops, your mast is going down. It would also be able to traverse the map very quickly with a tailwind, which means that it can easily chase down inexperienced players. The amount of decks would also mean it would take a while to sink, therefore being able to withstand a large amount of damage. It would take 4 chain shots to immobilize and 2 anchor drops to bring the ship to a stop, which would be a nightmare for smaller ships. The Flameheart event would be devastated in minutes due to the firepower and could possibly take the Burning Blade down in a few seconds, or a few minutes if it was Grey Mirror at the Fort of the Damned. On the other hand, it does have its weaknesses. It would take a large amount of communication to effectively crew it, which would mean its potential could only be brought about by the most experienced crews. It would be incredibly slow to turn and slower in a dead wind, meaning if you're unlucky you'll be spending much more time on your ship. The ship would have a large amount of hull sitting below the waterline, meaning that shots that would usually fall short on other ships would still hit the lowest deck. Certain cursed cannonballs would also be devastating. A rigging ball, wheel ball, anchor ball and ballast ball would be devastating and may finish the engagement in one move. Smaller, more manoeuvrable ships would possibly be able to circle and always be out of range, such as the sloop. The ship would also have to be parked further away from the island, which I think is a good thing because it makes the rowboat more relevant. These are just a handful of strengths and weaknesses I can think of, but I'm sure there's loads more, and I'm pretty sure you're going to remind me in the comments. It's not just a case of balance when it comes to the issues of adding a large ship. There are problems as long as you're armed preventing this. Most simply, the servers can't handle it. I hate to sound like a broken record, but the servers are struggling as is and adding larger ships would make them even worse. The server I was playing on yesterday was really laggy despite being mostly dead, and we saw 1 galleon all day. On that topic, galleons are rare enough nowadays, so getting 6 people together would be even more uncommon. I really just don't think the demand is there. Essentially, there's a small number of crews that could regularly play with the man of war. Not to mention, this will take a large number of resources from development of other requested features. It wouldn't be that big a game changer compared to new encounters, tools, voyages, etc. I would take a new ship, a larger ship, but would much prefer features like captaincy, more emissaries, and tall tales. So does that mean it should never be added? No. I still think it should, it's just that there are so many more priorities over a Man of War, and I know it's a highly requested feature. I just think the amount of work involved is extremely high compared to the return on investment. And, not to mention, I can see all the Reddit posts now about people complaining they got sunk by a toxic Man of War. In conclusion, the ship shouldn't be added, not until the other kinks within the game are sorted out and any other pressing concerns. But in the far future, I think it would be a nice addition to the game. Just bear in mind, this is my opinion and I'm sure you guys have your own feelings on it, so be sure to let me know down in the comments. Now, as I've recently hit 5,000 subscribers, thanks guys by the way, it's time for another giveaway. And I think as Season 2 is coming up soon and the milestone is 5k, I think it's only fair I go out 5 codes for 1,000 coins. Here's what you have to do. Subscribe, this giveaway is for my loyal subscribers. Drop a comment telling me what feature you want the most, it could be the Man of War, ship naming, anything you want. As always, you can drop a like because it helps me out, but this is completely optional. The winners will be contacted on the 1st of April, so you have until then to enter. I will be doing giveaways like this for certain celebrations and milestones on my channel, the next one will be at 10k, so always keep a weather eye on the horizon. So there we go. Sorry for the shorter video today, we've got a few more coming later in the week so I've had to shift the schedule around a bit. If you've made it this far and enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe and drop a like. I've got so many videos in the works for the coming year ahead and I hope you guys enjoy them. Thanks for watching and as always, I'll see you in the next video.